Welcome to our session today. I am Audra Mitchell, Vice President, Group Learning and Development and General Manager of the Massy Learning Institute. And I have the distinct privilege of being your moderator as we share the real scoop on scaling up from micro business to mass market. Today's webinar is a joint venture between Nudge Caribbean and the Massy Learning Institute as we seek to educate and empower entrepreneurs and persons interested in stepping into this arena. It is our hope that through sessions like this one, we can build capacity by sharing insights from entrepreneurs who have gone through the process and have successfully made the transition from micro to mass market and have been able to get their products listed in the retail stores. It is also our intention today to equip you with the knowledge of what's required of any entrepreneur when approaching companies such as Massy Stores in trying to get listed. So before we begin, just some brief housekeeping. We would like to invite you to participate in today's session. So we know you're here to listen, gather information, but this really works if we have your engagement and participation. So please, as we go through this session today, share your comments in the comments box, as well as post any questions you may have. We ask that when you're posting your questions, you indicate the panelists to whom your question is directed, as this will aid us in moderating the Q&A more efficiently. Please note, this session will be recorded and will be made available at a later date on both the Nudge and Massy Learning Institute website and the Massy Learning Institute YouTube channel as well. So I hope you're as excited as I am. So without further ado, let me welcome and introduce our panelists who will provide first-hand experience as well as their insights and expertise. So firstly, let me introduce Ms. Sparkle Mollick. She is our Commercial Manager, Massy Stores, Trinidad. Welcome, Sparkle. We also have Ms. Shenelle Fife, co-founder and CEO of Jeunesse, a company, Shenelle, welcome. And we also welcome Ms. Tamara Gibson, founder and CEO of Native Caribbean. Welcome, Tamara.
Good afternoon, Audra. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here this afternoon.
Great. We're very happy to have you. So ladies, welcome to you all and thanks for being here today. So as we kick off, I would like to invite and welcome a fourth person who's joining us, Ms. Faith Sukram. So Faith is the Education and Capacity Building Partnerships Manager at Nudge Caribbean. So Faith will share with you a little bit about Nudge Caribbean and the programs that they offer and give you a sense of how this that we're going to be discussing today fits into Nudge's program. Faith, over to you and welcome.
Hi Audra, thank you so much and good evening to you as well as the panelists and anyone tuning in. Firstly, I just wanted to say thank you to the Massy Learning Institute for partnering with us at Nudge to bring this discussion forward today and into fruition. I'm really excited to hear, all the golden nuggets that will come out of this. So as the Education and Capacity Building Partnerships Manager at Nudge, I'm just here to give a bit of context about the programs that Nudge has offered in relation to the topic that we have today in scaling from micro business to mass market. Nudge being a social enterprise, we support entrepreneurship as well as innovation within the Caribbean region, and our current community spans the territories of Trinidad, Barbados, and St. Lucia. Because we take a multifaceted, holistic approach to our support of entrepreneurship, we offer programs in a myriad of pillars. So we focus on funding, education and capacity building, community engagement, and access to marketplace. With the Market Access Program, it might be the most identifiable program that we have had at Nudge so far because it's emerged since the inception of Nudge itself. Within the Market Access Program, we focus on varying levels of support so that we can meet entrepreneurs where they are in their business development journey and take into consideration their level of readiness for the marketplace. So the entry into our Market Access Program has been the Market Store, which is a 6-week weekend pop-up, as you will see in the image, And within this program, entrepreneurs have access to a curated stall where they showcase their products, and they've received support from a Nudge trained ambassador that facilitates the sale of the product, the marketing and promotion, as well as merchandising of their products. And they benefited from a point of sale system, as well as the coordination and stock management support of Nudge. So this was really geared towards giving entrepreneurs that first level of entry into the marketplace. And the market stall was present in all 3 territories for a number of activations at Nudge in select Massy Stores locations. And then we move on to sort of a graduation in programming, where we have the Corner Shop, which is a 3-month gondola end activation. And this was really targeted towards entrepreneurs who were ready to scale their business and needed the support in doing so. And you will also see that we've had listing opportunities, which is a graduation after the Corner Shop, where some entrepreneurs are granted shelf placement in Massy Stores locations, first with the support of Nudge, and then they may go on to independent listing. During the Corner Shop activation, we support entrepreneurs with administrative, logistical, and coordination support, as well as access to expert guidance and capacity building opportunities, such as executive coaching. We've run 3 of these 3-month activations in Trinidad thus far, where entrepreneurs were granted the opportunity to be placed on a front-facing prime gondola end in 6 Massy Stores locations, and at any given time, we have 6 to 8 entrepreneurs on board this program. And after this 3-month activation, some of the entrepreneurs may be granted access to a listing opportunity, where we then support them further in subsidizing the process of them scaling into shelf placement, after which they're weaned off to champion the process independently. Now, through our learnings of these 3 Corner Shop activations, as well as 2 groups of listing entrepreneurs coming out of these programs, we've had a lot of learnings in the types of support that would be integral for these entrepreneurs to really have a successful entry into the mass market retail environment. So we identified their primary needs, and we identified the gaps that they truly needed the support and guidance in. We supported in things such as barcoding, elements such as labeling, guidance on how to tamper-proof your packaging, effectively brand for a comprehensive labeling for the mass market retail environment. We've supported with coordinating merchandising, as well as giving support in SKU rationalization and market research. And through these exercises, we understood the importance of the entrepreneurs really being able to build their capacity in these elements that were mentioned, as well as in areas such as stock management, bookkeeping, operations, scaling. All of these were integral in their journeys in being ready to have a successful entry into the mass market retail environment. And as such, it raised the importance of discourse on this topic, what it really takes to go from being a micro business within the boutique environment or the pop-up environment to independently and autonomously entering mass market retail environments or being ready for larger retail opportunities. And out of that, our program today was born, and these panelists are really equipped to speak on a topic and share their learnings. So before I head off and allow for Audra to lead us into the rest of the program, I just wanted to acknowledge that while Nudge is not currently onboarding new entrepreneurs, you can connect and engage with us in a number of ways to keep updated with the things that we're doing, the programs we're offering, and any other opportunities for resources. So you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Nudge Caribbean. And you can also inquire at hello@nudgecaribbean.com if you wish to email with any questions or opportunities for collaboration or partnership. So thank you again for your time today, and I'm handing back over to you, Audra.
Great. Thank you so much, Faith. So as you can see, our entrepreneurs or any entrepreneur who is part of the Nudge community is well supported from the business development stage all the way through to market readiness. All right, and as Faith would have gone through, we saw a very structured process. You start off with the market stall, then the corner shop, and then listing, with lots of coaching and support along the way, so you're not alone. All right, so any of you interested who are not as yet part of the community, we encourage you, as Faith said, to reach out to her, right, and find out how you could be a part of this. So thank you again for that, Faith. So as we continue, let's meet our panelists and hear a little bit more about them. So I'm going to start off with Sparkle. So Sparkle, can you share a little bit about yourself and your role as commercial manager at Massy Stores?
Sure, Audra. Good afternoon, everyone. Esteemed ladies on the panel, and of course, all of our lovely participants who decided to tune in today. My name is Sparkle Mollick, and I am currently in the role of commercial manager at Massy Stores, responsible for category management. I have over 10 years experience in a fast-moving consumer environment. I've been in positions of supply chain, logistics, buying, and category management. And during that time, I've also prepared many small businesses and entrepreneurs for listing, working with them to grow their businesses. So I think I earned my spot. Thanks, Audra.
You did, and thank you again for agreeing to be here, to share the perspective from the organization side in terms of this process. So next,
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Sparkle. So next, I'd like to welcome Tamara. Tamara, again, can you please tell us about Native Caribbean, the nature of your business and the need it serves?
Sure. So Native is a home fragrance store. We are known for our candles, but we actually handcraft 3 other products. We do reed diffusers, wax melts, and mist, car mist, room mist. And I like to say that our products are, although they're not considered on the big list of essential items, they really, really are. And that is because the sense of smell is the most powerful sense that we have, and that unlike other senses that have to send signals to the brain for the brain to process it, the sense of smell goes directly onto the surface of the brain. So it's like a medicine for your emotions, much like how getting a shot into the venous system gives medicine directly into your bloodstream. The sense of smell goes directly to your emotions. That ties in with our tagline. Our tagline is feel good, do good. So our products help people to feel good, or at least to get back to center. Again, self-care and wellness is a huge topic across the world right now, and we're very happy to be offering something that can make people feel at one or to find themselves. The other part of our tagline is do good, and that is because we harness the power of commerce here for doing good. So a portion of our funds are donated to charities that focus on improving lives for vulnerable groups.
Oh, thank you, Tamara. And you, yes, indeed, I really love how you spoke about, your products really, meeting people in terms of their wellness, and I know many of us ladies love, the scent of candles. We choose our scents very particularly, right? Because it does something to our senses. So thank you for that, and really excited even to hear your tagline and the mission behind why you do what you do. So again, it's great having you here today. So now we're going to go on to Shenelle. So Shenelle, tell us about your company. Same thing, how it started, the nature of your business, a little bit about your clientele.
Hi everyone, my name is Shenelle Fife, the founder of Jeunesse Bath and Body Products. So basically, Jeunesse, as most people would like to find out exactly what Jeunesse means, it means of youth in French Creole. So basically, I started in my dormitory room on UWI, just making stuff out of fun and love for it, and my sister having dry skin. And I was killing two birds with one stone, more or less. And then I give it to people, they love it, and it grew from there. And basically, that's how we got started. So yes, I've been doing this since 2015, and being in Massy Stores now is one of our biggest accomplishments. And I'm very, very happy to be here today to share a little bit of my knowledge concerning that. And also as well, hopefully if it helps someone, we all grow, because I believe all of us could win in this game. And yeah, so basically we make natural skincare products using local herbs and spices such as cinnamon and nutmeg and different things like that. And we use stuff that could benefit the skin. Similar to Tamara, we love scents. So all of our products smells amazing. And at the same time have benefits for the skin because we use natural shea butter, cocoa butter, and different things like that. So that's a little bit of me in a nutshell.
Great, thank you, Shenelle. So again, as I'm sure as you all are hearing, another great product and another great story behind why, Shenelle and her company does what they do. So if you all haven't tried any of these products from these ladies, we hope that after you've just heard from them, that after this you'll reach out to them, all right? Make sure you reach out to them and get your hands on these products, all right? So Shenelle, seeing that we were just speaking with you and you actually alluded to it in your sharing just now, we would like to find out from you, what were some of the key steps you had to take in order to enter Massy Stores? What was it that you had to do? Can you share that with us?
Yes, no problem at all. So firstly, thank you to the Nudge team again for helping me on this journey. It has been very insightful, and I felt like you all were like my godparents a little bit, helping me along the way, Nudge and Massy Stores. And I just had to put that out there because it was, although it was stressful at times, as with everything has its challenges, they did make the process way easier than it could have been. Basically, how we prepared for it, which is, I believe, the question you was asking, is that one of the things we had to do was we had to make a lot of stock. We had to stock up a lot of products. And we had to prepare for demand in case if there was, because we initially had a trial period in which we went through. And through that trial period of 3 months, like the person was mentioning earlier, you go through a trial period. And then when you go through that trial period, then you pass the next level. When you pass the next level, then you are listed. And not everybody gets listed, but thank you, Father, for us being one of the brands that was listed. And I've been very grateful ever since. And it also opened up my eyes in a totally different way because our initial background was mostly focusing on markets and events. And because our shift in our business model went from markets and events to selling in a mass retail store, that required a shift in processes, a shift in thought processes, a shift in manufacturing processes, and also as well to a shift in terms of moving from a one-woman show to, having a team, being able to do different aspects of the business in order for it to function properly. And one of the things that happened was when we initially got started, we did not have a lot of stock because we would make stuff based on demand and based on when needed. But because when you're shifting now our focus to Massy Stores now, you have to have product on hand in advance. So I had to think through my processes now. How do I have a bulk of product? Make sure I have storage space, make sure that I have enough to fill the shelves, make sure that that I don't run out of things in case if things sell, that I could replenish the shelves easy. So that is all of those things are things that I did not have to take into consideration much before. and things that I had to start to take into consideration, because while we were going through trial period, we had different marketing strategies in place, and having those marketing strategies in place, products are moving, and when products are moving, you have to replenish, and when you have to replenish, you have to really sit down and fine tune your entire process from start to finish. And that's what we did. I had a team. We sat down, we said how long these products take to make and how long it will take to go on the shelf. Who do we need to put the products on the shelf? So you have to start asking a lot of probing questions, which I had to do in order to make that possible. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. You did. Thank you so much for that, Shenelle. So I liked what you spoke about, shift in thought, right? So, it all begins in the mind. So, having how you set your mindset around making this transition. And you spoke about the manufacturing processes. You spoke about your staff complement and, and as you said initially, you didn't have enough stock, but what you had to do to build it. So thank you for sharing that. So again, I hope persons out there are hearing and taking notes, as and I hope that as you're listening, any questions that, we come into mind, again, feel free, post your questions. This is your opportunity. You're getting first-hand experience. We don't want you to miss this opportunity. All right? So thank you for that, Shenelle. So now I'm going to go across to Tamara. So Tamara, you were able to establish a vendor arrangement with Dwellings Trinidad, so where your products are retailed at their store locations. So in a similar vein, can you share with us the steps you took in preparation for this? And also as part of that answer, how were you able to establish an inter-island partnership? If you can speak a little bit about that, your steps, and also establishing that inter-island partnership.
Okay, so I'll answer that by talking about the contacts that my businesses operating in terms of from the time I got started with business, I always had it in mind to scale. So it wasn't so much that I had to shift to the idea of scaling. It was, when is the scaling going to happen? So in planning for the business, and I am a planner naturally, but then my background, my previous life before I was an entrepreneur, forced me to think like that. So I think I brought that naturally into the business. And I thought about things that would be necessary for scaling. What was really fortunate for me, COVID was a blessing more than it was a curse for this business, actually. COVID started to highlight a lot of things. You would have heard people talking about the opportunities for businesses, regardless of the size in the Caribbean, to start working together after the supply chains went crazy and you just could not get things from where you would normally get them from. Then folks started to, explore ideas of smaller businesses working with bigger businesses, or at least having some of your supply locally or from around the region, as opposed to bringing it from the international waters. And I thought to myself, well, isn't this great opportunity for scaling? The second thing that happened was the willingness of the leadership from some larger organizations around me. I can think certainly of Nudge stepping in and looking at the micro entrepreneurs and then using their connections to leverage the Massy Stores access to that market. That was brilliant during that time. That was one example. And my own personal example is that I had someone right here, the owner of Dwellings, who's also very mindful, very open, very warm personality. And, she gave us a chance. And I want to say thank you again, Gil, if you're listening to this. But I would say that leadership, that openness, that to me is more important than any steps that you can take to scale. An entrepreneur might be willing to scale, but without the opportunity, you can't even take the first step. So to me, that was the most instrumental thing. And then could you remind me of the second part of the question?
Sure, thank you. So the second part was, how were you able to establish this inter-island partnership?
Right.
How did you go about it?
Okay. So then I think that openness is really what made the conversation much easier. I believe that the owner was, familiar with the brand before and was gifted it and so on and loved it. And so that also helped the conversation. I would pause here to encourage entrepreneurs that, when you're developing business, not only just make a product, ensure that you make a good product. For me, I spent I think 6 months or 7 months in testing before I even put anything on the shelf to sell it. Like, I am very, very particular about what I put on my shelves. And so much so that I can have a conversation. I know how everything in here behaves. So that when it goes out and somebody says, well, this was happening, and I'm like, tell me a little bit more about how you were using it, because I stressed at this. I, pretty much looked at it from any angle. And the conversation, just grew, and it resulted in an exclusive partnership. So we are only carrying the products in Trinidad at Dwellings. That's what our partnership is about.
Wow, thank you so much, Tamara. Again, a great insight. You spoke about having that vision. So from listening to you, you always intended to scale. That just was not a question, right? So really having that
vision.
I
mean, I did not want to be an entrepreneur, I really didn't want to be in businesses. I came from a very traditional background. You go to school, you do all the degrees, you get the nice jobs, and I was quite comfortable with that.
Right.
I came kicking and screaming into entrepreneurship. I am very, very, I look at entrepreneurs that do it willingly and all. Like, kudos to you. I think they are the real brave ones. I cried my way into this. But the type of personality that I am, I'm in it, so I could as well do it to your best. So yeah, I just went full with it after I recognized this is where I have to be.
It's part of your destiny. Yes. No, thank you for that, So, I really liked, as I said, and in terms of, and even that other point you introduced, right? So, this wasn't necessarily where you saw yourself, but this is your gift, and you've been able to also capitalize on the opportunity that COVID presented, as you said. And I think the other point you raised that was really good, because when I think about a couple of years ago, how entrepreneurship was viewed, remember back then they would talk about it being a side hustle, but certainly, the needle has moved quite far to the right with regards to that, and you even shared about organizations being open and given an opportunity to support, so I think it's really great hearing you say that.
Yeah, that input cannot be underscored enough. I think it's the largest one, actually.
Yes, agreed. No, thank you. And we all can attest to the great products that many of us buy from our entrepreneurs, right? So, I mean, I'm really happy that organizations have changed their perspective, and even individuals, who may have wanted to step into it and were a little concerned before. And again, that's why I think the conversation today is really good, to give the tips, to encourage other persons that it can be done, because we have proof of it right here with us. And there are many others out there. So thank you for that. So Sparkle, Tamara was just speaking about her experience with Dwellings, and we have you here representing Massy Stores. So I want to direct my next question to you. What is the general process for any small business, who would be interested in listing their products at Massy Stores? Can you take us through that?
Sure, Audra. Well, the first thing would be to reach out to us. We are on just off Ryson Road. Our head office is up. You can't go to any stores, by the way. Some people try to approach the individual stores. You need to come to Massy Stores head office, which is on Ryson Road. What would happen is we would make a quick assessment over the phone or by email to determine if you have the minimum prerequisites, which is usually approvals and stuff like barcodes, the basics. We would then request samples to be delivered along with your price list and any other details on your product that you want to share, any marketing, promotional information, how you built up the brand thus far, anything that you want to share that could improve your chances of being approved. The items would then go through a review process, and this is where it gets a little technical, where we would assess your item versus the category. And a category is simply a group of similar items, quite simple. So if you were presenting a puncher cream, Audra, we would review it alongside a category called cream liqueurs, right? And that's what we would compare it to. So we would look at, is the category you're going to growing or declining? What are the existing competitors in the category? Is the product the right mix of quality and price? Does it meet our required margin? Is the packaging suitable for the product and attractive enough? So factors like that is what we would make a determination based on. If you are not approved, however, we would advise you why, and we would usually make a recommendation to improve your marketability and say, you know, maybe you can approach us in the next 3 months when you have improved X, Y, and Z. But we always give some level of guidance to assist the entrepreneur so that they know why they weren't accepted. But if you are approved, we sign you up as a vendor, and then we basically move towards putting your items on the system, which means that your barcodes would scan in any store, depending on the stores you were approved for. And that's where the journey really starts, Audra. It really starts then. I think Shenelle can attest to that. Getting listed is where the journey starts. And you have to visit the stores and get orders is really where it all begins. And then 3 months after that, we would typically review the item's performance based on the category. So basically, you're going through an evaluation process. And naturally, our shelves are high retail for us, we see it as real estate. So we only want the products that are doing the best and are turning over the fastest. And I think that the entrepreneur will want that too. They want to know that they are being assessed fairly, and they would like to know that they're being pushed to do better. So basically, once we go through that review process, we would decide if this item is worth keeping or if we want to give them a little more time before evaluation, right? And that's just the process in a nutshell. I mean, the turnaround time for someone who has a product that's something viable for shelf would probably be about 2 weeks maximum.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for that, Sparkle. You know, that is indeed very, very helpful. And I even like the point where you raised in terms of, so you review it as well. So it's not as though you get your product there and then we just sort of say, okay, inside, and I just leave it like that. You still have to, your product has to perform. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So I want to ask you something else again, sort of along the lines. So what would you say then are the key elements that a small business should ensure that they have in place? You know, what do they need to have in place prior to coming, even approaching you to be listed? So I know you mentioned the barcodes. But if you had to summarize those key elements. I
won't even go back to barcodes, because I would say the most important thing is to understand your product's value proposition.
Okay.
That's the most important thing when you come to us. You have to know where your product fits in with what's currently available.
Right.
How does your offering differentiate itself from the others? Is it price competitiveness? Is it the quality is better? Is it easy to use, time saving, and have more wholesome ingredients? Something about it must set itself apart in the category, because why should we list another the same, you know?
Yes.
Where is the retail price position comparable to competitors? How do you now take all these factors into consideration to develop a good strategy to approach the market? And I think understanding what value you bring is the most important part. And you also know where to put your marketing spend as well. So when you come to us prepared, it tells us, you know, you've done your research, you're keeping up with market trends, and you're serious about taking your product to the next stage. I mean, and it's really easy to engage individuals like that. I mean, we really get the best out of people who are excited, who know the market, and who bring preparedness to their assessments.
Right, okay. So the key is being prepared really before you approach it, I guess, and doing your research and even maybe connecting with other persons to find out, you know, from them their experiences as well.
I would say so.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So at this point, I'll pause. So Shenelle, as somebody who was listed in stores, you know, if you, I guess prior to being part of Nudge, if you had to, and maybe Tamara, you as well, maybe can probably join in on this. So if you had to approach a company to, to get into that retail space and, you kind of don't know who the contact person is, who to reach out to, any advice in terms of how to approach that? So in this instance, it's Massy Stores, you might have been told it was Sparkle, but if you have to approach a company and you actually don't know who the person is, how would you all go about, or how would you advise persons to reach out?
Well, firstly, I have been in prior to Massy Stores in excellent stores and Starlight Pharmacy. Those were my first stores that I um, ever been listed in, but it's not as fast trafficked as Massy Stores. But the process that firstly was to conquer my fears and to be like, Shenelle, go do it. Because I think what firstly happens to us as entrepreneurs, especially for me as being more crafty and being more good with my hands, what tends to happen is that you psychoanalyze yourself and you feel like firstly you cannot do it, right?
Yes.
So what I had to do first was push past my fears, be like, you have a good product, people have used it, they have given great feedback on it. So this is something that's worth being on the shelf first. And then when I conquered my fear, then I just pick up the phone and I just call and find out, hey, I have this product that I want listed in the store. Who do I have to talk to? Then they would give me, I make sure you take the name of the person you talk to, because a lot of times what happens is when one person give you information and somebody else give you next information, sometimes you have to know who you talk to when you call. So it's good to write down exactly who you spoke to, write down the information that they would have given you. Make sure you get their email address, make sure you get their contact number, and you get a backup email address and a backup contact number, because sometimes the person emails might bounce and all sort of problems happen, right? So that's my first advice. You just do it. Just call, just find out exactly. When they give you the processes, then you go in, you drop your product, which is most of the times what's the case. You go in, you drop your product, you let them see it, and you keep following up. Because also as well too, we feel that a lot of people feel that people owe you something. Nobody owes you something. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to go after what you want. And if you drop off your product, don't wait 3, 4, 5, 6 months after to be like, they ain't call me yet, So probably they don't like the product. No, you have to consistently call every week, find out when is the best time to call, and you call and you follow up with who you speak to, who have the product, and that's how it gets in. Because at the beginning, I used to feel like, hey, nobody called. When it is that they are busy and they have their thing going on, so they have probably hundreds of products to review, and they probably either forgot that, to contact you, whatever the case may be. So you have to make their job easier and follow up. So that is what I would advise.
Great, thank you so much, Shenelle. And even as you started off, what I heard was you actually endorsed what Sparkle said in terms of knowing your value proposition, right? Knowing your value, knowing your product. And I like the fact that you also spoke about, that you have to follow up, take information. This is your product, you want to get it in there, so you have to do a lot of that legwork and pushing. So thank you for that. And I know Candice had asked in our Q&A that question. So Candice, I hope that Shenelle's response helped in terms of answering that question that you posted with regards to how do you approach your retail environment, particularly when you don't know anybody. So thanks for that. So Tamara, I'm going to jump over to you now. So Tamara, you attended a trade show in the US last year where you created partnerships with international boutiques and stockists. Can you share with us about this experience and how it has influenced your journey of scaling your business?
Well, I want to say, if you go to a trade show or you're desirous to going to a trade show and you only think about scaling after you come back from a trade show, that is way too late. Trade shows it was my first one. I don't have a lot to compare it to, but trade shows are an amazing experience. And you have to take some of what was said here, all of what was said here already, knowledge of your product, where it fits in the market, what is your unique selling point. You have to be able to put that over in a way that is not so much rote, but and like have to know how to use it in conversation, and yeah, just be able to engage buyers who are going to be interested in your products. But I would say to entrepreneurs, buyers are also interested in you. So do not think that your story or your energy or your personality is going to be not a part of the process. It's not all about your product. I've learned personally, I would be glad to hear what Shenelle's her experience has been. We have a saying here in the Caribbean, my blood don't take this person, my spirit don't take this person thing. And I've learned over time that relationships are a big part of securing some of those deals and placements into stores. And so people buy as much with their feelings as they do about knowledge of your products. What else from the trade show experience? You have to be able to turn over an order quickly. You cannot come back and then try to figure out how are you going to get this order filled. Actually, you shouldn't go to a trade show unless you can scale, unless you have things like production figured out, unless you have things like shipping figured out. Those are things that you need to know before you go to a trade show, because they become increasingly important the moment that you take your first order at the show. In the Caribbean, how do you get your money for your order? You're now looking at, sending money across borders. How are you going to do that? So there are plenty of things to consider before you go to a trade show. Yeah, that's what I would say for that one.
And again, we have Tamara having had the experience and really sharing those nuggets, because again, we hope that as she shared, it's something that you will do as well as you look to scale up your business, right? And make those connections, build those networks as an important part in this journey. So, Sparkle, do you want it?
Oh, no, Audra, go ahead.
No problem. Well, actually, Sparkle, I'm glad, I actually was going to come across to you, because in the Q&A, there are 3 questions that are sort of directed at you. So I'm just going to ask you the first one in terms of how, and this is from Deanne, how do you get label ready? Are there specific guidelines to follow? And this can either be you, Sparkle first, and if any of the other panelists want to jump in after, please do. So Sparkle?
Well, I think the first thing would be to get I think you should get a good graphic artist and get your label designed the way you feel will give it the best promotional leverage, right? Once you've done that, you should go to Chemistry, Food and Drugs, it's on Frederick Street, and have the exact label approved. Now, it's a simple process. They really want to make sure what you say on the label is exactly what you're offering the consumer. It's just a prevention, basically to safeguard consumers from not having to purchase stuff with faults or claims that just aren't true. And the barcode part of it, there are local people that produce barcodes, and even your printer could assist you with getting the actual lines that go onto the barcode together with the label. I know people think, why do you need that? Why can't you just put a price tag on the item? But you want your scan data, you want to know how many of what flavor, what type sold. You want to, after the month, you want to call Sparkle, can I have a report? Let me see what I've done over this month. And that helps you to track every single, we call it SKU, stock keeping items. You want to know what flavor is outselling, which you want to know in which stores it's doing well. So it really helps you to craft your strategy going forward, and it helps us to make decisions, because we want to know how much of the large size is selling versus the small size, which price point is attracting the customers, which one they see as more value, where's the volume mover and where the slower movers. And that barcode is the single most important factor that helps us with that, right? And locally, you can get that done easily. And once you're finished with your label, you have it approved by Chemistry, Food and Drugs.
Okay.
I hope I answered that.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm seeing Shenelle and Tamara, anything you wanted to add to what Sparkle said based on your experiences?
So what I would add to that is that in my field of cosmetics, there's a lot of regulations when it comes to packaging. The EU, I believe, is like to have their own regulations. The states have their own regulations, and more or less, whatever market you want to enter into, you need to know these information in order to structure your packaging. So locally, might be a lot less stringent when it comes to that, but I have an international mindset when it comes to packaging and labeling. So I didn't want it to design something that I have to change after I have to go into the international market. So if you could get it right once, it saves you a lot of money. And knowing exactly which markets you want to go to in advance, even if it's not now, but eventually, that helps you to craft your label around that, basically. So that's what I would like to add.
Great point. Thank you for that, Shenelle. And Tamara,
Yeah,
anything else?
I totally agree.
Sure, go ahead.
I totally agree with that. There are international standards for every field as it relates to labeling. Like for instance, in my field, you have to have a product label, but you also must carry a safety label on those candles, and so especially the candles as well. So knowing what market, like my colleague here is saying, knowing where you're going, what you're entering, and yeah, even down to that helps you to choose your barcodes as well, because not everywhere takes the there's one of them, I can't remember which one it is now, but it's not, you know, all over. I think one is more in the US, and then there's another one for Europe, but there's one that will work both US and Europe. So even knowing the difference between them, those are all important things to know when you're getting your products ready for outside of the Caribbean, especially.
Thank you for that, Tamara. So Sparkle, Rishma has a question. What approvals are required for my products to be considered? What approvals would you need to do to have in place, or what approvals are needed for her products to be considered by you, by the organization?
That varies product by product. I don't know if does she have any other details, Audra?
Oh no, that's it. So Rishma, if you're still tuning in, maybe you can add a little more to your question. So it will help Sparkle to answer around what, as you're referring to the approvals required for your product to be considered. If you can add anything else to it, Rishma, that would be great. So we'll come back to this a little later on.
Sure, I think she could even drop us a line, and if she gave us some specifics, we could help her.
Okay, great. All right. And another question for you, Sparkle. Would saving on import cost be an element companies look at as a value proposition? Saving on import cost.
Well, the import savings would be yours. I wouldn't be able to tell that you've been able to bring in your goods and save at this price. I would say it's fantastic if you're able to scale up so early in the game. You're just starting as a small entrepreneur. The cheaper your cost is, means the more money that you make and the more money that we make. So it's a fantastic trade-off. So yes.
Thank you, Sparkle. So again, another question from our audience. So this is for Tamara. Tamara, how do you know what trade shows are the best ones to approach? What's your guide? How do you know?
That's a lot of research. First off, not every trade show is going to be focused on your product, but then there are some that are specifically for your industry. And you know, you do your reviews, you look at them, you see how well they're attended. Lots of the trade shows will have information about who the buyers are that attend their trade shows, and you kind of have to know where you want to take your brand. So that you can identify who is your best customer. You have to know, okay, is this really going to provide access to the market that I want to enter in? So knowing a little bit about the country you want to enter, like the demographic that you're after, the best way to reach it, and where do these people shop? Then you make your decision on what trade show to attend.
Great. Thanks for that. You know, again, very insightful point, you know, to guide. Thanks for that, Tamara. So I'm seeing here somebody has a comment. This is Shakira, so I'm going to read Shakira's comment. Hi, happy to be here. This is a general question and anyone can answer. I understand Massy would assess and review the entrepreneur's products to deem who and what items would be the best fit in stores. I believe this may be best created to vendors who make cosmetic and fragrance products, for a lack of a better word, candles, soaps, or skincare products. So I'm asking this question because I make handmade jewelry. You wouldn't necessarily walk into a store like Massy and buy a pair of earrings or pick up a necklace and read the product label. So my main question is, if there's a place for an entrepreneur like me in the long run? Great question. So I'll start with Sparkle, maybe.
I think she's a really good Nudge candidate, actually.
Very much so. Very much.
I think Nudge has set up their stores perfectly for things like that. As you know, a Massy shelf is a little more generic. It's very structured and may not cater perfectly to something like earrings or artisan products that are oddly shaped, unless it's in a completely a complete box covering. But that's not one of our specialties that we've gone into. But I think Nudge is a good opportunity for her.
Thank you. Tamara or Shenelle, anything else you want to add to what Sparkle said on that point?
So I think that one was more, that would definitely be more specifically for Sparkle. But what I would say is that the sky's the limits when it comes to what you want to accomplish in life, right? And sometimes even one or two entrepreneurs who I would have gotten feedback from who was on the shelf realized after that that's not the place for them or their type of product. So what it comes down to is you really truly assessing if this is what you want, because sometimes even at the beginning as well, I questioned a lot of things when it comes to my product being there, because my product is more high-end product and is competing against a lot of products that would be a lot cheaper because they have the advantage of economies of scale. So when it comes to your jewelry, you really have to think about exactly where your product fits on the market and where the the kinds of people that would buy your product, where do they shop, right? Is it a Massy Stores or is it a artisanal store, right? So you need to think through the process as well. But the Nudge Corner Shop is um, an awesome place to start and to test the waters to see if this is something that you want long term.
Great. Thanks, Shenelle. And I think that actually lends itself nicely to the question that John Bartholomew asked, so I think you've just answered that. John, if there's any further question you have that to this one, you can always put it in, but I think Shenelle really answered that question. So I have another question for Sparkle. If a brand gets into the stores, but you don't know how to go about choosing the right promotion to support the brand in the store, will you be able to guide that brand?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, we will guide you specifically how to do targeted promotions that help you. You don't have to go too wide. You could just target your customer, and there are many avenues for that. I mean, when a supplier tells us that, we welcome it. We will work with you, and we would assist you where we can, especially with point of sale material. If we could assist giving you opportunities for sampling, it's really about getting your message out there, and we have a high traffic, lots of people coming into the store. And when you're starting off, a lot of sampling is required for that one-on-one interaction, as opposed to taking out an ad in a newspaper or a magazine. You really want to reach your customers directly. And nothing beats one-on-one interaction. So we definitely have mechanisms set up to help in that regard.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sparkle. And before you come off, Rishma actually did provide some additional information. So I'll remind you, the question from Rishma was, what approvals are required for my product to be considered? And in us asking for more clarity, she said, I have a unique, and it just, right, she has some unique products. She does some agro-processing, homemade wines, turmeric, pepper sauce, golden tea. And then she added on that her products have labels with barcodes, ingredients, and a logo.
Is it, Audrey, did you say a wine and some pepper-related product?
Homemade wines, turmeric, agro-process. So she said agro-processing, example, homemade wines, turmeric, pepper sauce, golden tea.
Okay, for the alcohol, you need to have an impounder's license. For the actual food items, you have to have your premises inspected by the Ministry of Health, and you also have to have your food and drug free sale certificate.
Great.
So those would be these three.
Great, thank you, Sparkle. So this next question is from Colleen St. Bernard, and so Colleen says, do any of the entrepreneurs on a panel have any other jobs besides their business? And if they left their 8 to 4 to do their business full-time, how did you decide when was the time to move? And what impact did it have on your business's growth? So maybe we can start, let's start with Tamara. Tamara, you go first, you tell us.
No, I do not have an 8 to 4. This is my, sometimes it feels like 8 to 10 at night. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I had said earlier on the program that I didn't come to entrepreneurship with a plan. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I really didn't want to be. So I was at a crossroads, and I was actually thinking to retool myself, do another master's degree, and get myself into a slightly different field. And it was encouragement from my grandmother, who was like, I didn't raise you with no one talent, girl. I teach you how to use your hands too. She really encouraged me to get into business. That being said, there is no right or wrong time to do it. I find that entrepreneurship is really a personal journey. And as much as you're coming into business, you have to do some growing to be an entrepreneur. Actually, I think the two run parallel to each other. There's no time. There's no, so if you have these 5 things, do it. No, there's none of that. I don't think the world saw COVID coming. There's always going to be like an unknown. And so the best time to get into it is yesterday. What is more important than time in is your will. You have the will to do it. Are you the kind of person that can commit to doing it and doing it with excellence? Can you find something that you actually love? Do not get into entrepreneurship for money. It doesn't work like that. You actually have to be passionate about what you're doing, or you will quit along the way. If you want to be an entrepreneur, how well do you know yourself? Because your brand is an extension of you ultimately. You make, when you make as an entrepreneur, especially if you're coming in from a product-based something, it's your essence that you're putting out into the world. So that's why I say it's also a personal journey. And to me, more when you are clear on those things, I think you have a greater chance of succeeding on your entrepreneurship journey.
Great. Thanks so much for that, Tamara. And as you were speaking, I saw Shenelle shaking her head. So Shenelle, anything you'd like to add to what Tamara shared in terms of your perspective?
I would like if you could repeat the question so that way I can have it fresh in my brain.
Sure, no problem. So Colleen was asking whether any of you on the panel have other jobs besides this business. So do you do work on 8 to 4 and have this in addition? And therefore, and if you left your 8 to 4 to do your business full time, how did you decide when was the time to move, and what impact did it have on your business's growth?
Okay, so I do not have an 8 to 4 as well. Similar to Mara, I have a 24/7 job, right? Business. If you're not actually doing it, it's in your mind, okay? It's on your mind right through 24/7. And even when you're with your family, you have to literally try to turn it off. Otherwise, it keeps going. It's a gift that keeps giving, right? So, so you literally just have to shut it off sometimes in order to stop. So my transition from, because I used to be a teacher, I was a teacher. I taught in a school, and then that was roughly probably 6 years ago. And then I transitioned into being an entrepreneur full-time. So firstly, the last salary I got from my job, I never forget, I hold on to that so tight. I hold on to that last salary because I was like, Lord, this is my last salary, and somehow you will provide. Okay. So I jumped into it. To be honest, not thinking too much about it. Yes, I did like it part-time before. I used to sell at markets while teaching. So I started to build a clientele base in which I would advise people to do. But to be honest, it just had a day, I just was like, Shenelle, this is it. Just do it. And that's how I started. All right. I just did it. But I did have plans in my mind. I did have, and you know when you reach a point there, because I started to write orders on the board instead of the children's schoolwork. So you just know when you reach the point when it's time to choose and to decide. I think this could be a spiritual thing. It could be people encouraging you. It could come in different forms, right? But you definitely need to have a plan, right? You definitely, especially the pandemic taught me that. Before the pandemic, yeah, you could, things you might work it out. But now you definitely need to have a plan. You said one more question at the end that I forgot. What did you say?
So what Colleen wanted to find out was when you did decide and you moved into doing this, what impact did it have on your business growth?
Right. So one first it impacted me personally. I enjoyed it so much, and I had a good support team, so that made it a lot easier, and I felt free. I know I had no more children screaming in my head, although I enjoyed them. The process was a lot more enjoyable because it was my passion. And like Tamara also mentioned too, if you do something that you love and it's not just about the money, it makes going through the hard times way easier. And bet your bottom dollar, the hard times has come. And when it rains, it does pour sometimes. And it just needs good prayers. So definitely, I would say that, when I was at the point of transitioning, it impacted my business in a very positive way because now I could have used all my time that I had during the day, Monday to Friday, to plug it back into my business. And I would definitely say you need a lot of discipline because it have nobody behind you pushing you to say, hey, do this, do that, do the next. You could stay home all day and lie down on your bed and relax. All right. But if you know your goals, if you know exactly where you want to reach, you need to break it down week by week, month by month, week by week, day by day, and start executing it because time does just fly. And you don't want by the end of the year, you don't know what you did, right? And your actions bring returns in one way or the next. Referrals, meeting new people, growing your clientele, and you build a level of consistency. And consistency and discipline is really, really the key to make your business successful.
Great, thank you. So thank you both ladies, because I know this is a question many persons have, do I ease into it and transition, or do I just cut off one and start my business? So I thank you both for sharing. Tamara, is there something you
Audra,
wanted
if
to
I
add?
could
Sure.
build on that
Sure.
one last point, I think, and this is something I feel very strongly about. In the Caribbean, I think that entrepreneurship gets this kind of look sometimes as I don't want to say lesser, but not the most optimum thing to do. And like then it kind of has been seen as what you do when you don't do well at school or as a last resort. And it's risky, and you hear all these things about finance and not being able to get things from the bank and all those things that can really put like a horror story in people's minds about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is actually the most freedom I have ever felt in my life. There's it's unparalleled. The amount of growth that being an entrepreneur has caused me as well, that is not something I would ever get working for anybody. There are good parts of being on this side of the ball game. I mean, you get to create, you also get to contribute, not just for your family, and so you're contributing to your economy. You're making products that really impact people's lives, and if you're offering services that can help people really pivot or change the game, it has to be thought out just like anything else. Having a job is risky too. You don't know when your employer is going to shut down, move country, decide that there's going to be layoffs or anything like that. But as an entrepreneur, you're not going to fire yourself. And even if hard times come when you're working for somebody too. The environment at work can become very toxic at times. So it's not a situation where entrepreneurship is any worse than having a job. It really has to be your decision. So it's not so much about timing as it is this who you really want to be? Do you want to be working for a corporation that is going to be good for some people? But if you know that you have it within yourself to start something, to grow something, to contribute to your country, to hire other people who may be looking for a job, then go right ahead and do it.
Thank you for that. Really, really great point indeed, Tamara. And adding that to the discussion. So again, the nuggets we've heard from both Tamara and Shenelle around this, Colleen, hopefully that answered your question, and those others considering it, I thought those were really great points for consideration. So I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. So Shirley had a question, or comment and then a question. So she said, hi everyone, lovely panel and discussion so far. What payment processors have the panelists used which have been compatible with use in the Caribbean? So I would direct this to Tamara and Shenelle. What payment processors, or platforms you've used that are available that would be compatible for use within the Caribbean?
Can she unpack that a little bit more for me? I just want to be really clear about what she's asking.
Yeah, all right, so I can ask Shirley, if you're listening, you can add some more. I mean, what I interpreted from the question is, whether it's a WePay or what platform it is that you use that's compatible.
Is she interested in moving money across islands, or is it?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, all right. So Shirley, you've heard Tamara's response. If you could provide a little more information, a little more clarity, so that they can respond to the question. All right, thank you. So we'll look out for that. All right, so I know Shenelle just now, was sharing in speaking about that, jumping into entrepreneurship, spoke about at times there are challenges, right? So, entrepreneurship, as Tamara said, and as you both said, it's something that you do and it has to be something you love. But we know it's not always easy. There are challenges at times. So as it relates to, I guess, scaling, are there any challenges? And I'll start with Shenelle. Any challenges or roadblocks you have encountered on this journey of scaling? And if you can share a little bit about that. Things that people need to, I guess, could look out for.
Okay, so one, everybody's challenges would be unique to them. So I may say some challenges and you may never encounter that, all right? And then you would experience some challenges that I may never encounter. So for sure, challenges are unique, but it comes. No matter who you are, it comes. As long as you're doing it for an extended period of time, the challenges come. So more or less, you have to figure out ways in how you would deal with it mentally when you are in a challenging situation. And I think that's one of the most important things that you have to figure out, how you deal with problems, how you handle it. And I'm definitely no expert to that because I'm still learning. And one key thing that Tamara mentioned that kind of resonates with me is knowing yourself. And knowing yourself is so important when it comes to how you handle challenges. And I think also having a sounding board, people who you trust and people who you value their opinion to be there. So like my best friend, she's the one who would hear my opinion when it comes to certain things. And, she helps me grow. She helps me grow mentally to deal with my challenges. Not somebody to say, yeah, girl, I'm sorry about that. And, you end up in a pity party kind of situation, but somebody to kind of build you up, right? So one of the challenges that I experienced while especially be going on the shelves for the first time in Massy Stores was, bam, I got COVID. As I say, hey, Shenelle, you have to go on the shelf, prepare, organize yourself. I got COVID. And for me, I was so depressed about it for a little while. Let me say a little while, because I had to snap out like quick, right? So I was depressed about it for a little while. because I was like, Lord, you provide this great opportunity for me, but how am I going to manufacture these products and have COVID? That wasn't going to happen. So I had to move quickly. I had to call my family while I'm in quarantine, call family, call friends, get them to and give them instructions via Zoom. It was crazy. It was that was one of my most challenging times because being in quarantine, especially that was the heights of COVID, and that was the time when the opportunity presented itself. So one, having a strong support team, I would say, is really, really important when you're going through challenging time because it's easy to feel alone as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is like a lot of times it's a lonely journey. Having mentorship as well. So like I have like one or two mentors that I talk to from time to time to give me advice and to, help me figure out my challenging situations. So that way, and I network a lot. So I'm networking with Kariri, I'm networking with Youth Business of Trinidad and Tobago. I volunteer with Youth Business of Trinidad and Tobago to do blogging some years back. So I built that relationship. Um, I have relationships with Exim Bank. I know of them and what they do, Exim Bank and different organizations that could add value to your business and that you could add value to them and be able to help solve some of your problems. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Oh, great. Thank you for that, Shenelle. Yes, you did. Tamara, anything you'd like to add to the same question?
Yeah, start by saying that the challenges are going to be unique, especially from whatever you are operating in, whatever field you're operating in. My challenges. So business does not happen in a vacuum. You have to operate in an ecosystem, and sometimes that ecosystem does not move at the same pace as you. I can tell you that probably has been the most frustrating thing for me since I've been in business. And having like the wait times, I think what the economists and the the experts in business will call it the doing business index in the region. And so it can take long to do simple things. And so I personally think a lot of things could have been done like faster. So, but it may have been teaching me patience. I'm pretty much a go-getter. So I had to slow my roll to, way back to the ecosystem. And so, yeah, but it does, I will tell you what I've learned in that time is that everything still happens at a great time. So in as much as I thought that things were moving slow, I don't think I've been late for anything. And sometimes better things come along that you can only say, well, okay, so it was a good thing that didn't happen at the time that it happened. So I'm learning now that the challenges, man, just flow with them. Don't even pay them the mind. That's not to say take a very laissez-faire attitude towards it at all. That's not what I'm saying. But the challenges are part of the journey. And what's coming to mind is the Chinese word, the word for opportunity in Chinese kind of like roughly translates to crisis in English. The challenges are there for a reason. If you take a positive perspective on them, you can get a chance to rethink. You can get a chance to look at it from another angle. And I would say 99% of the time, it causes you to do something better than where you were headed in the first place. So they're not really challenges. Think of them as gifts. That's how I look at them. And I roll with the punches now. I drink. Yeah, I just like, today's a problem. It's like, today's the day to get a drink and deal with it.
Great, thank you, Tamara. So as you both said, right, we know they will come, but it's really how we approach it and how we don't let it stop us, right? As you say, it's a gift, and what you do, you open it and you see how how you can use it best to help you in this journey. So thanks for that. I saw in the chat, thank you, Shirley, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. So, so Shirley was asking about the payment processes. So what she said is, just to clarify, I have a website, and I've had a lot of challenges with PayPal. So I wanted to know, especially from Tamara, other than PayPal, what channels have you used to receive payments from Caribbean and international customers? Thanks for
Welcome
that.
to the wonderful world of e-commerce, which is definitely a challenge in the Caribbean. Shelly, I don't know what to tell you, girl. That's the truth. It really depends on your bank. I think you're going to have to go towards having an e-commerce platform. That's just the way you're going to have to go. There's not much more around that. I know that is going to take some input, some significant cash input as well. Having gone through the process myself, but really and truly, there's no other way around it. I tried PayPal, I tried other ways of collecting payments and e-commerce is the best way to go. So save yourself some time and some frustration and just get started on the process.
Thanks, Tamara. So, I mean, time flies when you're having fun, right? So as we coming to that time, I just want to ask each of you to share. Let's talk about lessons learned.
May I answer a little bit on the e-commerce part, though?
Sure, Shenelle.
So if you have a website, well, during the pandemic, I had to build mine from scratch. So it had a lot of trials and error in that process. So if you're from Trinidad, which is what I'm assuming, did they indicate what country they're from?
No.
Okay, so, well, if you're from Trinidad, Pioneer is a good platform to use. Pioneer is what I use currently to receive money internationally on my website. And this is something recently I found out. So you're getting some real good gold nuggets right now, all right? I took years to figure it out. So Pioneer is a good one. On your Shopify site as well too. Most likely you will have to rework your site to take US. If you're in if you put TT as your local currency, you have limited access to a lot of things, which is also their payment options. So if you have on Shopify site, you can do multiple things. One, you could use a Canadian address, right? If you use a Canadian address, you will not need a SSS, which is a social security number, and you will, which is what all US residents need in order to access their payment options. So see if you could either know somebody from Canada, or if you could, there are Canadian generators that could generate an address for you. When you use that, you can link it to your PayPal account, Pioneer account, and the money can be transferred when you receive. And when you do put that address in, you will have access to all the payment options on your website. It will just open up like magic, right? And then when the money goes to when somebody shops on your store, the money could be transferred, and you could set it up in a day or two to your P&A account, and then your P&A account is hooked up to your local bank account. So when that money reached my P&A account within a day or two, I could transfer that money to my local bank, in which they will transfer the currency, or you could request a card from P&A, which could be sent to you after you reach 100 US or over on their platform. You could receive a digital and a virtual card, and you can literally put it in an ATM machine down here and take out your local currency.
Thanks for that, Shenelle. So I'm really glad that you jumped in and shared the information. Again, really, it's a question many people have, so thanks for that nugget. So as we wind down, lessons learned, so I'm going to ask each of our panelists to share, in terms of this journey, even like Sparkle from the Massy Store side, Shenelle and Tamara, what are some of the lessons learned in this journey towards scaling up from being a micro to mass? So I will start with Sparkle. So Sparkle, from your lens and on your end, what are some lessons learned / advice you'd like to share with those listening today?
Audra, the advice I would like to share, is just a couple of points, and it alludes way back to Shenelle and her attitude. This girl is relentless, and she displays all the qualities that you need to take you into a Massy store and to get you to really scale up to where you need to be. So I was taken from her a couple of points, right? My first one would be to immerse yourself in the process, at least at the start. Do not leave another person to handle it at the beginning. Make sure you understand how the system works well until you give it to a driver or another employee to take it over. Understand how things work and make sure you fully understand what is required and when, and just give that follow up and follow through. That's one thing I would say. The second thing is develop good relationships at each individual store. I cannot stress that enough, because after you've dealt with the head office and they give you an approval and you talk to this manager and that manager, you now have to get to the stores and they are going to be the ones giving you orders. So you want your POs coming in regularly, right? You need to have excellent relationships at the store level. Make it your business to get yourself in there once a week or twice a week as necessary. Do all that you can. My third point would be do all that you can to ensure you don't run out of stock. All that you can. So even though you will have, you'll be out of the category for 2 days and something else is going to fill your space. It doesn't take long for something else, because we have a policy that there should be no holes on the shelf. So if you're missing for a week, that affects your business heavily. And there are other people with brands that are bigger than yours waiting to just slide into that spot. Yeah. And then it skews your performance. So when I'm evaluating you, you out of stock for 3 months. So how, it's just going to take your average down, and I'm going to say, well, this item isn't performing. And you just weren't there. You didn't give yourself that opportunity. So do all you can to secure your raw materials, your containers or your bottles, as the case may be. Do all that you can to have alternative suppliers. Do all that you can not to run out of stock. And don't forget to always set aside for marketing and promotions. Don't ever leave that step out. You have your awareness campaigns. You might have a product that's different. You need to educate the market about it. You need to tell people. You need to shout it from the mountaintop. Don't think that active social media engagement won't help you. It will. It will. Even if you have to do price promotions, you have to do activations at store. Do not forget to invest in your brand. And that would be my nuggets of advice to anyone coming in.
Thank you so much, Sparkle. Tamara?
Planning would be my first nugget. I cannot stress how important that is, to have a full plan, not just for scaling up, but for, sustaining business. Prepare for what is not going to happen, prepare for what will happen. Putting those things into place. One of the things that a lot of people don't think about too, when you're scaling up, you're going to have a significant investment into your business at that point in time. You're going to have a lot more materials on hand. If equipment is something that you're buying, get your stuff insured. Business continuity, you have to start to think about that. So put those things in place as well. That we live in a zone where lots of hurricanes and so happen. It just takes one overnight, one bad hurricane season for that to happen, but you want your business to get up and running. You don't want that. You put all your hard work into this and then it goes down. So a lot of people don't think about that as a producer and so, but it is something that can, help you to transition through things that may happen. Just get your stuff insured. Another thing for scaling is simplicity. It does not take 10 things to scale. Like the man that makes toothpicks, he is like famous for toothpicks and toothpicks only. So yeah, find your niche and work it hard. work it hard. And the faster you can find that, the easier it is to scale. It does not need to be, it doesn't need to be difficult. You don't need 50 items. Like, know what you're good at and go for that. As apart from that, take time for yourself. I would say for any entrepreneur, any micro business person that is looking to scale, it doesn't scale without you. You have to be in a good zone. You have to take care of yourself, take care of your mind. You have to take days and step back away from the product and the making, and just take days to really explore things, what's working, what's not working, analyze things, go over it again. So take those days. Don't be afraid to take rest either, because if you're not here, it doesn't go on. And I had one more thing and it just went from my head. Just went. If it comes back, I'll jump back in.
No problem. But really, again, some excellent nuggets. I even like the point about the insurance, right? Because sometimes people don't even think about that. So thanks for that, Tamara. So Shenelle, your advice, the learnings you want to share before we wrap up?
So one, I would definitely, in order to scale, I would highly recommend start thinking about your processes, which is kind of what I said earlier. For me, my ultimate goal is to automate my business in such a way that I could be relaxing on a beach with my son and my husband, and my and I'm still making money, right? My family is still being provided for, food is still being put on the table, and that's like my ultimate goal. My business being automated like that. But automation takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of brain work and a lot of mistakes and a lot of trial and error, right? So one, figure out ways in which you can automate your business because you'll be working for the rest of your life. And I don't think, I mean, like, as much as I'm a real workaholic, God knows, after having my son, the reality is your time gets split up. After having kids and marriage and stuff like that, your time gets split up. So you need to balance. That's where balance come in. And trust me, balance cannot be achieved like that. Like, I don't even think the word balance exists actually. But you need to be able to streamline the business, have a way in which it could be automated. Also, as well, too, what I would mention when it comes to scaling, have an idea as to knowing exactly what direction you want to go and plan your long-term goals. Know exactly from 5 to 10 years from now, where do I want to be? Do I want to sell my business over? So I want it to be generating a certain amount of revenue to attract investors. So everybody have their own different goals and their objectives to their business. So it's knowing exactly what you want, where you want to be, and what you have to do, what you have to put in place to get there. Um, Also, I would highly advise that no man is an island. I thought I was. I really thought I was. But COVID taught me better, and life teach you better, and you can't do it all on your own. You just can't. If you want, sorry, you can't do it all on your own if you want to remain at a certain level. But if you want to grow and you want to reach other markets and to, be seen around the world and things like that, you cannot do it on your own. And you need to start thinking about how you can get a team to complement your strengths and your weaknesses. And it has certain things like me, I hate accounting, but I saw the value in it. And in order to balance the books and different things like that, I needed to get an accountant. And in order to as well to satisfy the laws in your country, it's very important that you put things in place. And I neglected that at the beginning of my business. And I paid dearly for it because it costs a lot for them to update your books and thing of years of getting records and information together. So there's a lot of things for the ones who now starting off. I am saying you are lucky and you are blessed. Get all the information that you need to get to make better decisions so that way you start off on the right foot.
Great. Thank you, Shenelle.
I remember that last
Right.
thing.
I was about to ask if you remembered. Tell us, Tamara.
Yeah. In scaling, you have to also know where you hit. I think one of the things that comes up a lot for entrepreneurs is pricing. And people kind of think that scaling means you have to have all these really low prices in order to be competitive, and so you do not. You don't. You need to find out where you want to scale and who you want to serve. And when you're in business because it has to make sense for you financially. There's no getting away from that. And lots of us in the Caribbean, we have to import things unless we're really blessed to have all our inputs in the same country. It means that we cannot be as competitive as in price as some other countries and so on, where the inputs are like a lot cheaper. And so this is something for consideration, especially if you're going to want to go into like international markets. And so you have to know where it is that you're going, how you want to scale, and then when you find that place, believe in yourself to all, believe in your product, know that unique selling point, and just go for it. Do not be tempted, to have the least, lowest price or whatever. Don't get caught up by that fear. Don't look at the competition either. I mean, you must know who's out there and whatever, but you have a lane, stay in it, and just go hard.
Great, thank you, Tamara. So it was important that we got those nuggets as well to really complete
and I have one
this.
more thing to add.
Sure.
Just one more.
No problem.
I think like while you're scaling, one of the important things that Sparkle mentioned that I feel I need to mention again is the value proposition. So one of the things that we had to in our processes find out a way for us to be unique. And to me, one of the ways that I know I'm unique is I grew up planting. I'm from the country. My father taught me the skills to survive. And I wanted to find that and bring that to my brand. So like in all my soap boxes, you get a plantable packet of seeds. So all my customers could plant a little kitchen garden when they purchase my products. And that is the way I use, that is the way bringing myself into my brand and, being unique is a really great way to stand out on the market because for sure, nobody who has seeds and selling soap at the same time, right? So that's a unique thing to me, all right? So finding the ways in which you could be unique is very, very important. I would highly mention that. And then it had one more thing and then it gone out my head. So yeah, that's the main thing.
No problem. Thanks for that, Shenelle. I mean, listening to you ladies and being in discussion, I wish we had like another 2 hours, because I feel like we're now really getting into it. But unfortunately, we are out of time. So to you, our attendees, I really hope that this discussion has been informative and has really helped to clarify in your mind, the process, of taking your business to the next level, scaling it up. We know that there were many questions, other questions that were there, so don't despair, we will have captured these questions and we will get them onto the panelists so that they can respond, and we're hoping to put their, maybe as I'm wrapping up, the panelists can probably put their email addresses into the Q&A or the chat, so that way you can contact them directly as well, all right? So we want to thank you, our panelists, for taking the time to be here with us today and sharing some really great insights and experiences, on this journey. And we applaud you on where you've been and what you've been able to achieve, and for coming and sharing it with us, right? So that we can continue to build our community of entrepreneurs. So Faith, I want to thank you and Nudge Caribbean for partnering with us. To our technical team, Smart Vibrations, to Robert Sandiford, who's here with me in the room as part of the support, and to the MLI team, the Massy Learning Institute team, without whom this won't be possible. I thank you. Our attendees, thank you for engaging, for your questions, your comments, and we look forward to seeing you at our other upcoming programs. Both our webinars and the Massy Learning Institute does have paid programs as well. So we have a website, www.massylearninginstitute.com. So again, we invite you, to go to our website, see any courses that can support you in addition to what Nudge is providing you, because we are aiming to empower, educate, and support you as you level up. So bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying with us, and see you soon.